Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads. And, as always, welcome back to our Around the Hearth series, where we discuss different things tabletop. So, come in, sit down by the fire, grab your beverage of choice, and warm your toes while we discuss all things tabletop. Or not all things tabletop. This time we're talking about the first e-Zine that came out for the Open Legend system and through, the first official e-Zine for Open Legend. And we're going to kind of have that on the screen for y'all while we are discussing it. But first off, announcements. Always less than 5 minutes, for my sake anyway, for my time anyway. You can time me. Here we go. We are almost to 1,000 subscribers. So, yeah, we are over the 850 mark, I think. I don't know. We are pretty close. We are getting pretty close, and hopefully we'll be able to do some kind of special when we get there. Right now, we are at 854 subscribers.
Nice.
Yeah, so less than 150 left. And if growth holds, unless we get trending for some reason, if growth holds, we should have the sometime in spring hit that. And we've had little upticks as we've been going on, so it may get there faster. We'll see. But if it does, cool beans. We'll try to do something special when we hit 1,000 subscribers. Maybe a giveaway or some other fun things. It's coming towards the end of the year, so I will be doing some end of the year stuff. We will be releasing this Around the Hearth, and then probably won't release another Around the Hearth until next year, because I'll be doing announcement things and year in memory and stuff like that. But you can also keep track with us on our community tab. I will be putting out plenty of questions and things, polls, so that people can give feedback on what they want to see in the future for the inn, and all of those things. So just keep tabs with us on YouTube, and hopefully by the time we hit the 1,000 subscribers, we will have not only the website better situated, but also ways to support directly through the website instead of having to go through the roundabout of Patreon or other things. So keep an eye on it. And that's
Nice.
what I've got for announcements. What do you have for announcements, Dan from Avenue Studios?
Oh, man. Well, we have some really awesome actual play episodes that have come out in our Bomb Squad, so check that out. Some very special audio things that we did for one of the characters' backstories. Very proud of it. The guys did a great job. So check those episodes out. We've also been doing, on the 4 major holidays here in the U.S., an actual play in Cogent, if you know Shadowversity and Jazza. We've been playing in their system that they made, and that was a lot of fun. And we're on Patreon. We're on Locals. We do movie nights and patron one-shots every month. So come join us if you're interested, and support Adam and I in our crazy content.
Yeah.
If you're a TRPG nerd.
Or just a nerd in general.
Or a nerd in general. Yeah, absolutely. All are welcome.
All are welcome. Okie dokie then. So, that's us. You know where to find us. Now, let's shift over and look at the first e-Zine. And I'm going to pull it up right there. So we've got Every Roll Matters. I think that's what the e-Zine is going to be continue to be called.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is number 1, Heroes and Villains and Gadgets. Oh my. Heroes and Villains and Gadgets. Oh my.
Heroes and villains. Yeah. I love it.
All right. Now, I was informed that this person right here is called Breeze. Those are... And this person here is called Shadow. No one told me. Hey, Mustache, you did not tell me who the lab person was in the background on the back cover. For shame.
Unbelievable.
But, for those loyal watchers, you may have seen the, 30 minutes or something like that Addie and I made of a review of first impressions for this, and I have come to like it more since then. as I've been going through it, because that was just a quick first impressions. I'm thinking to not drag this out so that people don't have to watch for 30 or 40 or however long we talk minutes. I think it's worth the buy. So there's that. If you just want to know TLDW, too long didn't watch, then yeah, it's worth buying. But especially if you can catch it on another sale when it comes up. This is got a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah, is it? I should have known this. Is it on the Open Legend store?
It's on their store site. Yep.
Okay, so anyone can. Mustache Graciously, JP, who is the helm of Open Legend, has you can use a coupon code Bomb Squad for 10% off anything in the store.
There you go.
There you
Bomb
go.
Squad, 10% off.
Yeah, 100% worth it for sure.
Yeah. So we don't take too long. What did you think of the cover art?
I really enjoyed it. It's different than the art in the Open Legend book, so I thought it was fun to do something different, especially for this. But yeah, I really like it. Very, very kind of whimsical superhero-y, very graphic novel feeling. Right.
That's kind of the feeling I got from it too. I could see this in like a webcomic or something like that, where these stories or these adventures that they have are played out in that, someone plays them and then they convert that into a webcomic. So I think it does fit that theme. I think it fits the theme of those digital releases well, because it fits that theming well as far as art, in my opinion.
Yep. And two, I felt like it wasn't. I always love with art in any of the RPG stuff does it inspire me? Does it get me excited? Like I want to play these characters or make me start thinking of my own. So that definitely did that for me.
Well, I mean, it made me curious about this character here who didn't have any arms, but those were, I guess, air. It's breeze. So
breeze. I was assuming invisibility. Okay.
No, those arms are air manipulation.
Literally, he hasn't. Very nice. That's cool.
And he's a parkour, getting around type of guy, and then there's the kind of ninja shadow manipulation person there. Those are shadow blades at her sides.
That's okay. Makes sense.
So, I like the art so far, and then the art, to give credit, the artists that did it, their art styles didn't clash. You see that a lot, even in official books. You see, like, I like Wayne Reynolds' art for like Pathfinder and D&D, but other art styles don't always mix well with that, and you see that in bestiaries when they get released for. It seems to be more prominent in bestiaries because they need a lot of art for those monsters. So you'll see this monster over here looks weird or different compared to this monster. And not because they're just different monsters, but because they kind of look weird.
Right, yeah. You can clearly tell it's multiple artists. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I agree. I probably wouldn't have known if I didn't look at the attributions that it was different artists.
They worked well together on their keeping the theming of it well.
Yeah.
Alright, so moving on down, I'm going to skip the credits and introduction and all of the contained herein things because we got to get to it.
Yes.
If we don't,
I will throw
finish.
Yeah, yes. I'll just throw out, it's really great to see JP being able to start doing his own stuff, because I know he's been working hard on all the backlog of Kickstarter, so that's the first thing I thought as I started reading this. It's just great to see him starting to dive into really his own content for Open Legend.
Yeah. I think that'll be good for the community as a whole. Because something I did want to point out in here, in the introduction, this is him talking and things like that, and he's talking about updates and how this came through and so on and so forth. Using the zine is basically what I thought it was. The Legend Within and stuff is about, it tells you what each section does or talks about. But the thing I wanted to point out was, here it is. I've also been talking with our community members who are either creating or thinking of creating more content for the Open Legend RPG. I love this and want to encourage it. Open Legend was designed for the community to be able to make content and publish that content with little worry about the company getting in the way. I want you to not only make content, but be able to make money from it. I'm happy to announce that the official Open Legend store is able to host community members' projects. Currently, the minimal fee is 30 cents, 10% plus 10% to 15% depending on the product, is all that is kept for the digital products. And that, he says, that's for the hosting and processing fees and such, which is understandable as someone who also owns another business. So feel free to contact him at 7th Sphere, info@7thsphere.co. So, you creators,
yes, thank you.
Because I'm interested in that personally, but also there's a lot of people out there that make a lot of stuff. It'd be good to, like, if you make something cool for your table and your table loves it, it'd be nice to have a way for you to then share that and be able to use that to then make money for your table, if it's just little things, or for you guys making an actual business that subcontracts in there or does something like that. Makes those things.
Yeah. And I know a couple of the team members here for us want to do some stuff based off the actual plays we're doing and to fully integrate that so you could play in the settings and watch actual plays. I love where the growth is going. It's very exciting.
So, a lot of fun. And that type of openness was one of the things that drew me to Open Legend in the first place. So
yeah, same. And I think this is in general for what I love about this publication too, is in conjunction with that is, I know for a lot of people that I talk to, one of the roadblocks to diving into Open Legend is there's not settings and there's not bestiaries and all of that stuff. And this just opens up for a whole, giving people something to springboard off of. Not everyone is comfortable just making up all their own stuff. So I'm excited about that too.
Right, because that's the whole way that Pathfinder even got started. So
right,
it was homebrew stuff that they were doing for 3.5. So definitely worth thinking about, or worth supporting and encouraging your GM if they make something to do.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I got to read through this superpowers and super limits thing. Very good recommendations for running, for the idea of running a game that has superpowers. And let me see. So it talks about how balance. One of the quotes in here is that I wanted to point out was, "We'll define." Pardon. Under the general gaming tips that she gives, we'll define it as, speaking about balance, a quality of mechanical options available to characters and equal opportunity to influence the story. And that is a better way to look at balance than trying to say, oh, it's all mechanically balanced to where the classes are all the same. That's not what balance means. Everybody has equal access to those mechanics, is what you're looking for. Each player does. And they equally influence the story, or they have options to equally influence the story. And it's a much better way to look at balance than just, and I would take that to any game that you're running.
Yep. No, 100%.
And she does one more to keep it fair. She uses a fair as an acronym instead. Keeping players hooked stems from 4 major points: fighting, activity, investigation, and responsiveness. And so using that acronym would be very helpful. Nice tips in this GM section.
Yep.
So, did you have any remarks about this first article?
No, I think you pretty much covered it. Yeah. It's always one of those things where I'd love to hear more, but it's a really quick read and it gives some good tips to work from. And again, the equality of influencing the story is really good, because some builds will have less total banes or boons or certain things, and that's okay. If you want to do a more specialized character, that can be good, as long as you're all influencing the story, and that's what Open Legend's all about. So yeah.
And it one thing she does talk about is self-limiting. So
yes, thank you. Yes,
someone who, like Addie, has Kaisar, right?
Yes.
So there has to be limits to Kaisar's shape-changing ability, for game's sake. Otherwise, you could just change into a thing, and then you could change into anything his little mind can imagine. And
yeah, right.
You have to kind of move through the story in a way that makes more sense, because that same shape change, that same alteration ability, would be something that she mentioned a chameleon type character might have. They have that alteration in order to invoke invisibility boon or something along those lines.
Right.
They technically could invoke other boons mechanically, but that doesn't make sense for their character if they're chameleon reptile based to then suddenly be morphing into elementals or other things like that at level 6, I think it is. At Alteration 6. So when you go and you look at it, that's important to talk about with players, because Open Legend it is for everybody, but not everybody enjoys Open Legend because they want the system to limit them rather than them limit themselves within the system. So,
Yep.
Technically, Open Legend's really easy to break if you just don't limit yourself.
Right.
If you actually play the character, it's not easy to break because you're going to be in your character. So.
Yep. Let's see. With great power.
With great narrative power comes great narrative responsibility. Quite appropriate, a quote for us talking about superheroes.
Yeah.
Speaking about Spider-Man, when you look at Spider-Man's actual powers, his level of strength is huge.
Yeah.
He is not, whoever's writing him, not self-limiting. But
don't even get me started on Superman.
Yeah. Superman's as powerful as the narrative needs him to be. But that's kind of his role, too.
Yes, absolutely. That's his archetype, really, perfection.
Yeah. The Ubermensch type of thing.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. Next up is the building character article. And I thought this was cool that they're doing it this way. They're incorporating not just a character presentation, but talking about the character, why this character is, why they're choosing these things for this character, and then working through that mechanically. That's really good. Yes.
Especially for Open Legend, for all the reasons we've been talking about. I loved the thought process, but it was still short and sweet, but just showing the thought process. And I think it also shows that he didn't dive into it too much. It's just these little bits hitting on little things, and that determined the stuff, even like the anxiety that sent him on a specific path, but it wasn't like he wrote a 20-page backstory.
Mm-hmm. So he gave him that anxiety, that self-doubt and uncertainty, and one of the things that he says is, I decided to give David a serious case of anxiety. I know a lot of people who struggle with this, and this hero is dedicated to them. Plus, I like a scenario where someone plagued with self-doubt and uncertainty can save the world. So, there's a video I need to redo, I guess, or technically I could release it in the archive series because it was on another channel at one time. But it's, Daddy, where do characters come from? And, like a kid asking that.
Yes.
Their parent, but characters, the point of it, the gist of it, was that characters come from inside us, whether it's things that we like or dislike about our personalities. Some sort of facet or antitype to what we are, what we like, and what we don't like.
Mm-hmm.
So when you make that villain, he's villainous because you're choosing to have him do things that you consider villainous.
Right.
And it talks a lot about you when you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he's doing things everybody considers villainous, like eating babies or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Let's just go dark.
Super dark. Welcome to the Inn of Planar Crossroads.
Welcome to the mind of a GM.
Yeah. So we've got. I like that they're giving 3 different stat blocks. They're not just presenting you with somebody. They got level 1, level 5, and level 9. And for those that are new to Open Legend, level doesn't mean that. Like, level 9 doesn't mean they're halfway to level 20. Level 9 is effectively level 20-ish in another, in like D&D or Pathfinder. Because each level is not exactly worth 3 levels in another system, but it kind of is.
Mm-hmm.
Because experience points are how you purchase your abilities.
Right.
So,
yeah.
So a level 5 character is about halfway through. I mean, if this is not something I've asked, if you guys who play Open Legend, how high do you usually go in your levels and experience? Because level 5 seems to be where a lot of games tend to cut off when you think about games in other systems. Like they'll go to level 10 to 15.
10 to 15. Yep.
So it'd be interesting to see.
I don't have a lot of experience with the high level play, so I'm not actually sure. We'll find out, on Bomb Squad and Jake's Lab.
Well, Bomb Squad is a series. It's not the series.
Yep.
We've got to see them go up into. I'm pretty sure I know where they're going to go, but
awesome.
At some point. But I will have to save that for bonus talk or something like that. There's always bloopers at the end of these if we have any bloopers, so you guys can go and see us just riff about stuff at the end of these around Hearst if you want.
Yeah.
So we have the Comet, or David Garshram, and level 1, level 5, and level 9. And you can see about what level is getting what power abilities and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, no, I really enjoy it. I think my only thoughts were I wanted a little bit more, and it may be just a space. You can only squeeze so much. I wanted a little bit more on the character sheet about they didn't put the perks and flaws in, which I know is not a huge mechanical thing, but to me, as someone who's a little bit more narrative focused, I love the perks and flaws, and especially mentioning anxiety, I was kind of interested in what he was going to pick there.
Right. That is something I also would like to see. Just like there's feats and favorite actions, and I know that they may have done this because other people may want to try and play this character or use this character, and they may not want to use those, but that's why we have them anyway. We do that anyway. So I would suggest, I guess we're both suggesting, go ahead and put those in the stat blocks also. The perks and the flaws, because, or at least the starting ones, because they can change.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm always okay. I don't feel tied into things, so it may be a bias on my part that I always see these as guidelines. So I like to see what people's thought process is. So even with a little bullet point of pick these perks and flaws for this reason, because I love those little bullet points he has above the stats. There's that, and then I would definitely recommend people really, if of course, get this and also really look into it, because in the notes section there's some stuff about restricting the feats. That was very interesting. I actually wanted to hear a little bit more about that, because he's putting some self limitations on his attribute substitution. And battle trance. So that was really cool. Speaking of self-limitation, I really liked that.
Because if you look on here, he has Great Leap 3, but he doesn't have flight. And with attribute substitution agility, technically this person would have access to flight. But if he's playing the character in such a way where the power doesn't function that well that way, and he can't zoom around like a comet, he wouldn't do that. So that is like you're saying, that's an instance of showing self-limitation for the character's narrative.
Yep. And it's a pretty heavy self-limitation because he puts points in agility, even though he has attribute substitution 2, because he's self-limiting. Only attribute substitution only works in battle trance. So I thought that was really cool. I almost wish they'd highlighted that a little bit because that's a pretty intense self-limitation.
It would be cool if they did like a behind the scenes, I don't know if they do video chats though. If they did video chats about the construction of the character, like we did with, the Mimic, the Broodmother Mimic, or if they did it with the, like we did Orion.
Yes, right.
But we made him level 1. So that would be interesting to see if they would do that. And then you could get all this behind the stuff that we're talking about. But I see why they can't necessarily, because that's a bit logistically problematic sometimes. So.
Right, yeah, 100%. But it does show, too, we're interested in it. So, again, it's worth the purchase because the more you look at it, the more you get out of it, which is great.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, any more notes on that one?
No, I think that was it.
Okay. Now we're on Open Heroes, Understanding Theme and Tone. And the main one for this, I think, actually, this header right here is a great way to look at it. Modern day myths are what superheroes are. And I'm not the only one who said that. It's said several times by people who have more letters behind their name than me. So you've got this idea that heroes are superheroes, are the modern myth of like you would see for Hercules or for Achilles or things like that. So remembering that, and not all superhero games are that way, right? I mean,
sure.
You've got that one series, what is it, The Boys? That is definitely not a modern day good guys myth thing. That is not what that is. But it still uses superheroes. And it uses a Superman archetype, and somewhat well. If you... I haven't watched the movie or the show, the series, or read the comics, but I watch reviews and get different ideas and pick things from different places. And from what I've seen, they use that well as an antagonist who's really powerful and could kill you easily, but doesn't for certain reasons, his drawbacks. And so the narrative is then served. So.
Yep.
So you need to pick what you're going to do with that. As far as... I like that they mentioned minions in their ideas for this type of a system, because this feels a lot more Justice League Unlimited discussion, like Justice League and Justice League Unlimited, the animated stuff, than it does something like The Boys. Even though the same mechanics can apply. And as somebody who thinks that, Justice League and Justice League Unlimited were far superior than some of the superhero shows we get today, most of the superhero shows we get today, I don't mind. So... it has the best...
You're not hearing any complaints here.
Yeah. It has the best representation of Batman. BTAS, Batman the Animated Series, ties right into it. So, so good. We need to talk about that sometime. Just using that as inspiration for the game. Heart of Ice, good. Best hero villain origin discussion of a real villain.
Nice.
Yes.
I would love to dive into that. Ugh. Mr. Freeze. Yeah, he is a good one.
That's the Mr. Freeze that set the archetype for Mr. Freeze, because before that he was just a kind of like a secondary villain.
Okay.
But after that episode, he gained that became his stock backstory. And the same thing, that's where Harley Quinn came from.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So
That's
whether
awesome.
whether you like the modern Harley Quinn or not, I don't really like the modern Harley Quinn. But anyway, we're still getting off topic.
That's all right.
We're on a time limit, so
we're old nerdy dads. Nothing these kids watch these days.
These kids watching all their superheroes. All right. So remember these things. Nice tips again. And any remarks about that one before we go to the discussion about the Ravers and stuff?
No, I think we got it. Yeah.
Cool. So next up, like we said, is the Raver. We got Raver Cultists, and it has a description of Raver zombies, and has a stat block for them. Very nice that they talk about them, and we get several paragraphs for talking about them, why they chose stuff. Very similar to what we saw with the hero construction. We now have the villain construction. These are the minion villains, the Raver zombies.
Yep.
And you could reflavor this Raver zombie thing to be, of course, a zombie, but you could also reflavor it to be any drug-induced type of antagonist, not villain, because it has innocent civilian. Let me make sure I get this verbatim for you. They have a new feat. Of note is their innocent civilian feat. This should pose the bulk of the moral challenge to the PCs. How do they subdue someone who has no regard for their own safety without injuring them? And implying then that they're, as an innocent civilian, they've been somehow
really nice touch,
mind controlled or something like that. So using those that way could be useful. And they're level 1. They make perfect minions, especially, again, for those innocent civilian things. Here's the civilian feat. Despite their appearance, Raver zombies still have all the fragility of a normal civilian. If a Raver zombie is reduced to 0 HP, they suffer lasting damage or permanent injury. This is avoided if the creature takes care to use non-lethal force as determined by the GM's discretion, doing something to incapacitate them.
No, that's great. It's so many story possibilities utilizing this, and having PC's flaws come into it, and creating disagreement and growth through it all. It's just a great little thing to add.
Yeah, and with the way they're themed, you could easily put this into a cyberpunk instead of a superhero game.
Yes.
Cyberpunk game,
absolutely.
especially with the color scheme they used this time for the Raver zombie, and the picture we have right here with it. Yeah.
Yep.
I could see that. So, and what happens with it when this civilian, maybe the civilian liked the power? Do they then become more than just some mindless something? Do they want that power back? What are they willing to do for it? Do they get overdosed and become a dumber version of Bane? Whoa.
No, and I love, and going off of that, does a player character kill one of their friends that's also a zombie, and when they come out of it, they're like, they dive right into that, become the cultist.
If you included some kind of shape change that not necessarily full on shape change, but like they've got masks on all their zombies or stuff like that.
Right,
Control them that way. You could do a lot with that.
Yeah.
So, I think it's a good idea.
Yep.
And then they have the Raver Cultist, which they have a stat block of level 2 for.
Yep.
So, if you're looking to include those, and you can, the next video after I'm almost finished with the rules for weight and all that type of stuff in the Laws of the Multiverse series. So, for the script for it. So, the one after that will be progressing a character, and I might wrap in, if I can, both progressing a character and starting above level 1.
Nice.
So, that progression of characters can happen even for NPCs, because you use the same stats for everybody.
Yep.
So the Raver Cultists, pretty solid. Bane-focused demoralization is nice to have on a bad guy.
Yep.
I think it's funny they use one of their favorite actions is screw this, I'll just shoot you.
Yeah, so, I did like that. That's really good.
Agility versus guard, advantage 2. So,
beautiful.
And that's from their attack specialization, because they're assuming they're using their pistol.
Yep.
And you can reflavor that. That pistol can be anything that you, the alien, want to say. So, that was, it could be a laser pistol, it could be a ballistic pistol, it could be a crossbow bolt.
Yep.
There you go.
Medieval DJs.
Medieval DJs. They got their loot laying down instead of on, holding it up,
Yes.
Playing it like a steel guitar or something.
They're doing a cocky king, slapping the strings.
So there's that.
Awesome.
I liked the Ghost of Parties Past, especially their flavor, because they say that based upon their flavor text, they can be from any era of revelry. So
actually gave me a little SMT because we had just been talking about, with Persona. It totally made me think of that, but
there you go. These are the guys that hang around with, what's that Greek god, wine? Dionysus. Hang out with Dionysus.
Yes.
So, there you go.
Yeah, that was actually a cool time. It was actually a little surprising. It went a little more fantastical adding that. I liked it. It surprised me a little.
I mean, there's a freaking shadow ninja on the cover, man.
Yeah, no, that's
good.
Gotta
have some magic in there. So
yeah, they always end up throwing magic in.
Yeah, that is something you see with practically every superhero thing. There's always magic somewhere. Like, that's Superman's only weakness, even though it isn't really a weakness. It's just like it affects him normally. That's not a weakness.
Right.
But, okay. Writers of Superman. We get it. Giving Superman a hard time, even though he is certain iterations of him are my favorite.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
All right, any more remarks about those before we get into the... Now, this is the spoilery part for people that don't want spoilers.
Yeah.
I'm going to skip this part. So...
No,
let's
do it.
All right, spoilery part. Light snow, a short encounter. And this... do you have any things you want to talk about with this short encounter?
Oh, let me see. Looking at my notes. Well, the puzzle was great. Let's see. I like, just in general, JP gives some great examples trying to hit the most common ways to solve these things, which I think is nice. As long as people don't get trapped in it, which he keeps reminding you in it not to get trapped or, assume it must go this way. But I love his pros and cons to the different kind of most likely scenarios the players will choose to run.
That's
which is helpful.
That's pretty helpful especially for someone just starting out especially if you don't know your group, even if you are an experienced alien. If you don't know the group you're running for, you don't know how they think, and you're not.
Yeah.
If you're not particularly good at thinking around the way people think, then
right.
Yeah. And
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm pretty good about thinking about all the different avenues that other people might think of. I've still been surprised by what my players do. So,
yeah,
there's that.
Yeah, and I think in most of them, I was reading, even despite if the players do something slightly different or not, a lot of the ideas he has to react to those like 3 basics can easily be applied to slight variations if the players want to do something a little different. And he gives those CRs, which is always nice if people don't want to think about the challenge ratings. It always helps to have a baseline to work off of. Yeah.
Right. So, there's those things right there, and he does include, again, spoilers, map, a small encounter map, which was nice to see, and I appreciate even more. after watching, after going through. And then, you know what he did? He did something that most maps don't. There's a bathroom. I mean,
yes.
you guys don't even know how much that bugs me on some of these maps. Where do dwarves go to the bathroom? You see all these dwarven caverns. No bathrooms. Where's the privy? So
Well, there's holes just out the side of the mountain.
yeah, but you gotta. I don't think they want to handle the solid stuffs. So where you gonna have your chamber pot sitting around? You're just gonna do that right in front of everybody? I'm just saying. So anyway, if you're designing maps for games and it includes like areas like this, include things that would be there, like a bathroom. So, because that means there may be a way of egress for anybody trapped in the someone like the bad guy goes to the bathroom, or one of them, and then he escapes through the bathroom window.
Yeah, classic.
Well, if there's no bathroom, he can't escape through the bathroom window. So, there you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this is a good time to mention that, like you mentioned, the puzzle. There is 2 versions of the puzzle that come with this download, and there are 2 versions of this map that come with the download. The first one is the player handout map, and then the second one has the secrets for the GM, which you can then show to the players when they find the secret door or something. So,
yep,
that's something to be thought about, and that inclusion is one of the things that makes this so much worth the effort, because there are some things that you buy like off a drive-through RPG that don't even have a map for you or things like that. So we got encounter 1, the alarm, encounter 2, the puzzle, and then the puzzle right there. Purple people bite right through, leaving gaping holes and yelling souls, it says. So.
I think he did a great job of the puzzle in laying out the CRs for people who need to roll, but a player could also be challenged by this and trying to figure it out themselves without rolling anything, which I always feel I struggle with, trying to have that balance. So I really appreciated this one.
Yeah. And for anybody having trouble with that, if someone in your group figures it out and there's a smart character in the group, then that smart character probably would have figured it out, even if it wasn't that player that figured it out. So the hive mind is a thing that players should be able to have access to, because one player may know more about one thing than this other player does, but their character would know it.
Right.
And so they can say it, type of thing. It's not metagaming if they're helping play their character narratively correct.
It is a team game.
Yeah. Alright, so we've got this. Not going to necessarily go through the whole puzzle, because that's for you to discover. There's a solution if you want it. Not going to spend time on it. There's he's got some suggestion for hints type of thing. A logic roll suggestion. So there you go.
Yep.
And some optional stuff here at the end. I think it's a solid encounter. A solid, small encounter to run.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. It left me wanting more, so I wanted to run it and see where the story goes. So, success.
There you go. So that's what I think I like about it. And then he's got the encounter 2, and then the computer room spot, wrap up, additional handouts, and then the alternate player version of the apartment. So there you go. And then we get into the really fun stuff, the Tinker Workshop. Ooh, the stuff that you can take directly into your games. Oh.
Yes.
So I like these things. So we've got a consumable healing item like the Swift Adrenaline Injection and stuff like that. These could be things like, if you're theming it for fantasy, it could be things like a quick heal potion, but a very low-powered one for just getting you back up. And all of these different type of healing items can be themed that way. And that's easy to translate into anything modern or above is easy to translate into a sci-fi. So
yeah.
but I like these. And for you GMs trying to make up your own stuff, this gives you an idea of what you're trying to do. You pick a boon that you're trying to do, and then you make it consumable or not. This autonomous injection is actually interesting. The wealth levels, I think, are weird because I'm making a that's the one I'm writing the script for. So a deeper discussion on wealth level may be necessary in the future. Because wealth level 4 is not cheap.
Right.
Like, that's expensive. But how does that translate into you're going to have to, that's going to be different for your setting. Like, if you're in a cyberpunk setting, auto adrenaline, an emergency adrenaline injection may be something you just have in one of your implants. Rather than being a wealth level 4, it's more like a wealth level 2 or 3. Probably still 3, because that's like a heal potion too. But you can always play with those power levels to adjust that wealth level also. There's that to consider. If it's just like to get you back up, to start your heart back up or something, you might be able to work around that.
Right. And the special is always there too, if you want to give a little con to it to make it worth minus a wealth level. I like playing with that a lot.
Like a level of an exhaustion to jumpstart your heart again type of thing, or some
lethal damage, some kind of disadvantage, fatigue. There's always
all right. And then they got some boosting items. Neural stimulation overloader. That's this glove here, I guess. No, that's the shock glove.
No. Oh yeah, you're right. Yep.
But the neural stimulation overloader, reading boon power level. So we've got this one here, wealth level 5. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
When you consider the wealth levels go up to, what was it? 9?
I think they go up 9. They might go 10. I think.
But like your players probably aren't going to ever see wealth level 10. I mean, that's like the example in the book is like intergalactic ruler of multiple galaxies. Like that's so it's going to be dependent upon your setting, what your wealth levels is. That's a lot of money. A wealth level 10 in a fantasy setting is probably going to be a lot different than a wealth level 10 in an intergalactic sci-fi setting.
Of
course, those
it is.
One in the same.
Wealth level's always tricky, but proportionate, right?
So you've got this reading boon for that one.
You
got the pump it ups for a haste boon. I think these are the ones that, maybe not these specific ones, but I think these are the ones that, or ones like them that Breeze is wearing on the cover.
Okay. Version. Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm.
And then the shockwave gloves are up on the shelf. Addie saw those. So those superheroes are loaded. Or they looted somebody who was loaded. That's probably what happened, actually. Some hard-working villain pumped all his savings into those shockwave gloves, and then those superheroes just came along and
it says that in the description.
It does. You have a good one. Reminds me of that time I got swarmed by Dr.
Maybe not. No, wait, I misread it.
Hinge drones. Repulse them into pieces.
Never mind. No,
but I see what they did there, Dr. Doomies.
Yeah, I thought maybe. But I think it's the legendary items they got off Baddie. One of them's off a Baddie.
Alright, so legendary items. It says on loan only. Or only on loan. And that's because of the way that how powerful legendary items can be.
Yeah.
So we've got both Larva's Pest Cloak and the Protector's Living Mind. Both of those look pretty cool.
Yeah, and they have some good, especially the Living Mind one has some story options to it, some great story moment options. And
because Open Legend is very narrative driven, you can then use the description is not just for description. It actually tells you ways that the shield would function what
Right.
might be motivating things. So don't skip on the descriptions on your items.
Yes.
And if you're making an item, word it carefully. If you're going to give it to your players, word it carefully. So if you put it in there and you say it can do something, players are going to think it can do it. So
Yep.
all right. Any more discussions on these things?
Oh, yeah.
I like.
Don't want to give too much away, so it's great. They're great stuff.
Yeah. I like the idea of bugs being used as by a superhero or other things.
Oh yeah. What's that? The one guy from Naruto who can control all the bugs in his body.
Yeah. Well, his clan forms a symbiotic relationship.
Symbiotic. Yep. And they like live in his chakra or feed on his chakra.
Yeah, they live on his chakra. They live in his body along the chakra pathways, and so they can then be manipulated via his manipulation of his chakra.
Sweet character.
Yeah. Go for the manga over the anime. I'm just saying.
I mean,
watch the anime for the fight scenes if you want to.
Fair.
But the story you should get from the manga. I'm just saying. Fight me in the comments, or just say something in the comments, and I'll say cool. Cool story, bro. All right. Then there was some media highlights for some weirdo channel called Bomb Squad and Jacob's Lab. I don't know, those weirdos. They sound kind of odd to me, but
yeah, probably.
So Bomb Squad's highlighted.
I wouldn't watch it.
You wouldn't watch it unless you had to, which you had to.
Actually, I enjoy laughing at us, so I'm a fan of my own stuff.
Well, that's problem, see, because then you start laughing at your own jokes.
Oh yeah.
You know you've reached dad status when you laugh at your own jokes as hard as you laugh at other people's.
Yes.
So yeah. But that's okay, because
well, thanks.
When you think about it, it's good to be the funniest person that you know, because then you're always entertained.
That's true.
There's also Unlawful Disorder, A Twist of Fate, so you can find them on Twitch, Twitter, and this has hyperlinks in it for those that download it, so you can just click those and find where you want to go. Apparently they got a world anvil for Unlawful Disorder if you want to check that out.
Yes. Put a lot of work into that.
Heroes in Progress also is on there. So,
yes,
check those dudes out. Other cool content it likes to highlight. We've got those things right here. You can see them on screen. I have not reviewed them, so I cannot say. But, there you go.
I know Jacob kind of has some contact with the lore masters, so from his experience, they're a pretty cool bunch. And puzzle encounters always sound good to me.
Yep, those are handy to have just around when you're trying to figure out what to put in your thing.
One less thing to think about,
Apparently, Wally DM on YouTube. So if you want to check that out, connected to these. And the Rules Kitchen. This is where this is like the crunchy bits that they did. And switched around, so you've got Concealment, a change in the way Concealment works for this type of a setting, or superhero setting. So you've got both of those. You got that shift up there, I should say.
And this one's because JP's talked to me about this a lot, so he's worked on this one for a while. It's to replace the Invisible Boon, and we actually use it in Bomb Squad over in the Invisible Boon, so I've really enjoyed it.
Okie dokie. And Slowly Simmering. They've got some other ones in here, and these are for playtesting. So the support Trance, I made a remark when I was with Addie. So if you want your barbarian to be your heal buddy, But
that would actually be kind of cool.
yeah, so he's like, why are you sleeping? Get up! Shakes you awake. Oh, I'm so angry at you. Oh no! If you're running like a game where everybody's like you're either in a child's mind or everybody literally is a toy, and one of them's a teddy bear, and he's just, oh, I'm so angry with you.
Oh my gosh! And you know what? You could make that character an open legend.
You could make that character an open legend. Give them the support Trance. Oh, you make me so angry.
Oh my gosh, I want to do that now. That's really great. Because then there's a barbarian in 5e that can like focus in kind of like inspiration or something like that.
Yeah.
Like a barbarian.
There's a barbarian or there's a skald in Pathfinder. So, which blends the bard and the barbarian. Mm-hmm.
Great stuff. So yeah, this could be a lot of different things, but that would be really fun to do with support Trance. Like literally being hit by stuff and you just ignore it so you can keep encouraging your teammates.
Yeah. So these two are what they highlight for the kind of in progress stuff that they want playtesting with. And then they've got the contributors at the end. So those are Sariel Snowings, Tallulah Cunningham, and then the writers Courtney Rattleman. Courtney, Trinity's End Rattleman. Oh, she's giving feedback on some of our other stuff.
Yeah, I know Trinity's End. Hello.
Bryce Hansen. Let me see. Adjustment. And then Eli Novacon Mante. Jean-Michel Valencourt. Jonathan Great Mustache Potter.
JP. It is Christmas, so.
Potter. Jeff von Godsinnoven. I somewhat apologize for messing up anybody's name, but points.
You're committing to it, though. Yeah, absolutely.
Savannah Broadway.
There we go.
That's the last one. Oh, Lore Masters LLC.
Yes.
Of help too, contributing. So there we go. And that is our look on it. Our in-depth review of the first, I guess you would say, the first Every Roll Matters e-Zine.
Yeah.
I said
perfect.
I said this in my little brief overview that when I said e-Zine, someone in the Discord was like, "What's an e? What do you mean e-Zine?"
Oh,
I'm dating myself on that one. It's like, electronic magazine. It's from, man, that's from like Rocket Power days, I guess, or something like that.
Oh, maybe, yeah. I mean, GP was calling it that too, so not to date him.
Hey, I'm just saying. That's okay. Us bearded folk are just secretly immortals that pretend like we're mortals. We just like sometimes our oldness comes out.
Can't be helped. What's this e-Zine thing?
But I don't know what you call. I guess they just call them PDFs now.
I guess.
You kids in the comments, let us know what you young folk call e-Zines. All right. So that is our discussion on that. Any final notes or anything before we allow the viewers to ease back out?
I just think it's worth the buy, and Bomb Squad 10% off anything. Use the code Bomb Squad for 10% off anything in the Open Legend store. So might as well snag it. Just for the minions and monsters and the little encounter alone, you've got a great little thing there to start a campaign or drop in something. So,
if you're needing to get an idea for things, and like you said, wanting to kick off the different things for your campaign, definitely a solid pickup. I know that some people need that extra little kick. Even if you're getting stuck in a rut, this can kick it out of that rut, because you can retheme things, and your players will be like, "This doesn't feel like anything you've ever made before," or because it's not. So,
awesome.
All right. Well, thank you, travelers, for coming back to the Inn of Planar Crossroads. We hope you enjoyed your time sitting around the fire, drinking your preferred beverage, and warming your toes by the fire. As always, have a great day, God bless, and enjoy. Bye.
Farewell.
Farewell for now, travelers.
I can't harmonize bye with anybody today.
No.
This content was made possible by travelers and viewers like you. Thank you.
Harmonize bye with anybody today.
No.
Sad face.
Yeah, that was something that we tried to do in our games. We would always sign off with bye, and everybody would try to do bye.
I loved it.
Let me see. Took us over an hour. Is there no time limit on it when there's only 2 people?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, you're right. Because, I
was like, we better hurry. We're going to run out of time. We better hurry. We're going to run out of time. So, we didn't run out of time.
Yeah, the pop-up never showed. That's cool.
All right.
But what is it? Total content? I think maybe like 40 minutes, probably, right?
So, I mean, the recording actually is... I'm looking
was
it's
it?
102 right now, but we're going to cut some of that to the end type of thing.
Cool. Well, it didn't feel that long.
No.
I figured it would be good to have it on your channel too then, and do the Around the Hearth format or something. But of course, whatever. I'm not telling you what to do.
Nobody tells me what to do.
Oh. Yeah. But that's how we ended up. He was saying, it's like, oh, I kind of know Adam, or we're in the same circle of people.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you think about it, I got into making tabletop YouTube videos when it was still really small. There were not a lot of creators making YouTube videos about tabletop stuff. Because I technically predate Critical Role, I think. It was right around the same time. But I think I made some... I know I did. Made content before they made stuff on YouTube, at least. I think they may have done stuff on Twitch.
Okay.
But I'm at least as old as Critical Role as far as making content. The Inn of Planar Crossroads is a little younger simply because I was doing content for another channel. So.
Right. Yeah, that's so funny. I got to tell Ryan, too, because he and I were watching all the Dawn Forge cast stuff.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I wish I'd have downloaded the... before he got rid of it, I wish I'd have downloaded the How to Play. Because that's how I learned how to play Pathfinder, was watching his stuff. So... I don't claim to be very good at Pathfinder, but I mean, I can look up builds. But
yeah, absolutely.
there's ways to break systems that are. It's not hard to break a system once you know which speech the best and stuff.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I mean, it's not hard to Open Legend's not designed to be break proof. It's designed to be narrative. So you get lucky. That's an overpowered. That's an overpowered feat because of the way it functions.
Yeah.
Alteration is overpowered because of how open it is. So if you take both of those, and you just pump a whole bunch into alteration.
Right.
And agility, I don't think agility is as overpowered as it is in Pathfinder and D&D, because there's other things that contribute to your guard.
Right.
You got 3 defenses that you've got to watch out for, so it's not quite as bad.
Right. Yeah. Easy to work around. Yeah, alteration's definitely.
Alteration's very good.
Yeah,
very good.
I mean, it's totally based on the assumption that you're self-limiting yourself.
Yeah,
like it's 100%.
You better be, or you're gonna be. You've got store item. You've got transformation abilities up to a foot. You know how many places you can get by shrinking yourself down to just 1 foot. Right, I know. Oh my gosh! You can change into a snake. You can change into other creatures that they can then compress themselves. You can change into underwater campaigns aren't a problem for you. Right. You see a kraken, you can become a kraken. With appropriate levels. Right. I mean, you get to 6, then you can just become an elemental. So it's broken. We're broken. But because you're going to limit yourself, because you're playing the character, you're playing the characters, not the abilities that those characters have. Yeah. And that is something that is different than a lot of other games. Because characters are often defined by their abilities in those games. Whereas in Open Legend, your abilities do not define your character, they are part of your character. Right. Your character defines how they use their abilities. Yep. Yes. Ugh. I don't know. I like it. Yeah. I wish it would get a little more popular. Well, we'll see. See, it's one of those things where you stick around long enough and everything, circles and roundabouts, Yeah. Stick around long enough. That's what I've done. I've stuck around long enough. That's kind of my forte. Awesome. There you go. Stick-to-itiveness. Well, I just stick around long enough and it becomes popular again. Vests and white shirts, It's a thing now. Done. Never beards come and go. Yep. Beards are definitely in. I mean, a lot of people shave their head and have a beard, but... I'm not going to shave my head unless I have to. But, I don't even think I'd shave my head if I went bald right here or anything. Well, I just let it be what it is. Yep. There you go. So no, you should. Our culture embraces youth too much. Yeah. Well, see, circles and roundabouts. Eventually, it's going to be valuing old age, and then I'll be set. Boom, boom. In like Flint. Long-term plan. Long-term planning. It makes it weird, too, when you go and you think about how age must be a lot different in those fantasy settings where people live. Right. Like elves live for hundreds of years, and dwarves live for hundreds of years, and humans live like 70. Yeah. 100. So it would really affect the way that the humans of that setting would look at things, and the way that the elves of that setting would look at things. Mm-hmm. Because those humans, we think, it'd be so bad to live forever. Well, not when you've got an elf as an example who's youthful forever. Right. So. Yeah. Oh man. That's I didn't think about that aspect of you can actually see it. You can see what it's like to be that old. Right. Because right now we don't have a frame of reference. Well, most people don't have a frame of reference. If you embrace immortality, then there's a different, if you understand immortality, it's slightly different. But the idea of living forever in a, somewhat youthful body, a body that can do things. Like with magic, you can keep yourself not just looking young, but behaving young, feeling young. Right. So, yep. It's not weird to think then that those wizards that you hear about in stories being like, he's seeking immortality or something like that. Well, right. No wonder that guy becomes a lich. Because look at all these other creatures.
Right, I know. Man, that's something they don't play with a lot. Because it's like if you remove it from fantasy, you have like the vampires and stuff like that, and it's always like you sacrifice your soul. It's the Lich, basically. You sacrifice your humanity to become... But technically, elves don't.
No.
Since people play them all the time, they're still effectively humans that just live forever.
Yeah. And I don't...
So...
With the way Pathfinder and D&D tend to deal with elves and players play elves, that's where that stereotype has come from. The Tolkien-esque elves, people get a lot of... Tolkien elves get a lot of hate because of the way people think about them. But they don't realize that they were not really of this realm when we see them in the stories. They're from the past. Their time is gone. When they say the age of men has come, it's not them saying, oh, now man has risen up and now they are better than us. It's them saying, we're done now. This is not, it's not death for us, but our time has ended. We're not relevant to what's being done now. And so that last alliance of elves and men was a last alliance of elves and men. It was a farewell thing. Yeah.
And the whole Melkor corrupts that the gift of Iluvatar to men is death, actually, and no one actually knows what happens when men die. No, I love it. I love it. Silmarillion's my favorite.
I haven't listened to that one. I've listened to... I actually read... It was the first novel, like thick book, I ever read was The Lord of the Rings. Because I watched the movies. I had already watched the Ralph Bakshi animated one. And
yes, absolutely.
That Gollum freaked me out as a kid. That Gollum freaked me out. It's scary. That dark Gollum 100%. That you couldn't see in the darkness.
Oh my gosh. So good. And the music.
Yeah. But that rotoscoping, man. That rotoscoping.
Oh, it's so bad.
I mean, in some ways it's charming and it works.
Yeah.
Like
and then Aragorn trips on his sword.
Yeah.
And they rotoscope the whole thing.
Yeah. Or when you see, because I like it's not my favorite Ralph Bakshi. My favorite Ralph Bakshi is Fire and Ice.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's very Ralph Bakshi and very Frank Frazetta, like the guy that did the iconic Conan art. Very much like that art style.
Interesting.
Including the guys in skimpy outfits and the girls in skimpy outfits.
Classic.
That's very 70s fantasy. But in that same idea, it very much works for what they do, for how they're playing it up, and it's very iconic. Kind of, this is what fantasy was in the 70s. Very much a time capsule of what fantasy was before you got like the Dragonlance novels in the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, even after that, when you saw art from the 70s, 80s. Stuff like that.
And Fire and Ice. I'll have to add that to the list.
Yeah, Fire and Ice, Ralph Bak. It should be Ralph Bakshi. I probably need to stop recording. We've had enough bloopers. I'm gonna
you're still... We could go on forever. Okay, 1983.